Hey, welcome to Morning Scone. First and foremost, my apologies. I left my tripod and my lapel mic, I think, at work yesterday, so I'm back to the old earbuds with the little microphone right there. So sorry to have to kick it old school here for this edition of Morning Scone, but we'll talk about LSU's debacle in Oxford in the sixth inning and Darius Guice going undrafted and what the New Orleans Saints elected to do, being aggressive, trading up. So as always, please hit the red subscribe button on this page if you don't already subscribe. If you do subscribe, thank you. If you don't subscribe, you are literally my worst friend in the whole wide world. You don't want to be my worst friend in the whole wide world, do you? All right, so please hit the red subscribe button. Thank you. All right, let's start with the draft, then we'll go to LSU baseball. The Saints made a gigantic move. They went up. They traded from 27 up to 14, moved up 13 spots to go get Marcus Davenport out of Texas San Antonio. Sean Payton made a crack about, what's not that big a deal. What's the national debt? Which is actually a pretty good point. But, man, you went and got a 6'6", 265-pound freak show. That's what you got. And you know what? I am bleeping pumped about this. I am so pumped about this because the Saints, since drafting Cam Jordan, have completely neglected, even though they have said over and over and over again that pass rusher was a priority and they wanted to get a pass rusher, they have completely neglected it. And please don't try to sell me on, well, they went and got Trey Hendrickson with a mid-round pick, and he was really good at FAU. And they went and got Al-Qadim Muhammad from Miami in the 6th round. Stop it, bro. Man, they went and got Alex Okafor. The truth is, the legit freak show pass rushers in the NFL all come off the board within the first 10 picks. And if you don't get one, well, he is 14. First half of the first round. And if you're not willing to invest a pick then in one of these guys, you're not going to get one. Because seldom do they ever hit free agency. The best pass rushers seldom hit free agency. So it's like quarterbacks. So if you get one, you hold on to it. And how do you get one? You draft them. So they could have stayed put at 27, and Harold Landry of Boston College was on the board, and still is. But they eyed this guy and said, you know what? We've now rebuilt the entire defense. You've got Cam Jordan on one side. Now you've got the freak show pass rusher on the other side. You drafted Sheldon Rankins on the interior, and you fortified that with other guys like David Onyemata and some veterans. You've rebuilt your defense, your linebacking core through free agency and the draft. We'll see what you get from Alex Anzalone this year if he's back healthy. And then obviously you've got Marshawn Lattimore, who might be the best young cornerback in the NFL. You've drafted safeties with Von Bell and Marcus Williams. And then you've supplemented as well. Point is, that whole defense looks like what Seattle's did when they went to back-to-back Super Bowls. You drafted young talent and you maximized them. You had Michael Bennett, and you had Earl Thomas, and you had Richard Sherman, and you had Cam Chancellor. You had great young talent that you drafted, got it cheap, and you maximized it. And that was a freak show defense that got them to back-to-back Super Bowls. So what you've done now is you've improved your defense dramatically and gotten the pass rusher opposite Cam Jordan that you've been wanting for a long time. And I know what the counter argument is. Like, that's great. You got a great pass rusher. But you had to give up next year's first and another pick. Don't care. I don't care. The Saints right now have proverbially pushed all of their chips to the center of the table. And they've said, you know what? We're going all in. We know that Drew Brees is near the end of his career. Our window to win a Super Bowl is now. Let's go get a guy that makes us markedly better now. And they did that. And you worry about next year's first round when next year comes along. I mean, so it's the same thing they did last year with Alvin Kamara. You know, they moved up. They gave up a 3 and a 2 to go up and get Kamara, so they don't have a second-round pick in this year's draft. And you know what? I don't care, because they were a play away from the NFC Championship game last year, and they're better for it, and they're better today with Davenport than they were before the draft started yesterday. So we'll see if the Saints are able to get active in day 2 of the draft. Probably not, just because now you don't really have assets to do so. But as far as having Davenport, and look, you could say, look, he went to Texas San Antonio and didn't play against the best competition, and all that's very true. But I could point out Ziggy Ansah, who went to BYU, and I could point out a lot of guys who grow into their bodies once they're in college and are freak show athletes. And if the Saints were that sold on Davenport, then I'm good with it. And if nothing else, because they finally addressed the pass rusher spot. So yes, I'm good. I'm very good with what they did. Totally sucks for Darius Guice, and especially when the Patriots went running back, and the Seahawks went running back, and Guice stayed in the green room. So he was one of 4 that were left in the green room. Shaquem Griffin from Central Florida, Guice, Josh Jackson, the cornerback from Iowa, and then Connor Williams, the offensive tackle from Texas, were the 4 left in the green room. So it sucks for Darius Guice. I mean, there's no other way to say it. My guess is at the top of round 2, Cleveland, who obviously didn't get Saquon Barkley because they went Baker Mayfield first overall, and Saquon went 2 to the Giants. My guess is Cleveland goes Darius, first pick of round 2. And if not Darius Guice, then perhaps they go Harold Landry and get a pass rusher opposite Myles Garrett. That's my guess. Darius isn't going to be waiting long in round 2. He might well be the first pick of round 2 to Cleveland, which would make an awful lot of sense. But still sucks. But that's the risk you take when you get on the plane and you go. When you're invited, you're hoping someone pulls the trigger and takes you, and it didn't happen for Guice yesterday. So apparently all the pre-draft chatter hurt him. It sucked immensely to see Sony Michel go ahead of Darius, which if you made me bet anything today in 5 years, who's the more productive running back, Sony Michel or Darius Guice, this is a landslide of epic proportions. And just Sony's had injury issues. Darius hasn't, like major injury issues. So good luck to all those guys, man, but it sucks for Darius. He'll hear his name called today, and he's faced certainly greater adversity in his life than not hearing his name called on the first day of the draft. He'll be better for it. I guess gigantic elephant in the room right now is LSU baseball losing 14-3 to Ole Miss. God, it sucked. You give up an 11-run inning. We were at the ESPN draft party last night, and so they had the draft on most of the TVs, but you also had the baseball game on a couple of TVs. So I was watching it along with the draft. And the super disappointing thing is, man, LSU was playing really, really well. They managed to manufacture 3 runs against Ryan Rollison, and that's no small feat. And Zach Hess was at 108 pitches, but was able to keep the offense in check. Only 3 runs on 7 hits, despite not having his best stuff. He did walk 4. For me, so if you missed it, it was 3-3 through 5 through the middle of the 5th. I'm sorry, through the middle of the 6th. LSU tied at the top of the 6th at 3. And then in the bottom of the 6th, they put in John Kodros, and then this parade of relievers ended up giving up 11 runs in relief. Kodros 2, Beck 4, then Taylor Peterson. No, I'm sorry. Kodros 3, Beck 5, Taylor Peterson 3, and then Clay Moffitt pitched the final 2 1/3, did not allow a run. For me, there's one unforgivable thing from last night move, and that's bringing John Kodros in a tie ball game. If you're down 3-0, I can understand bringing in Kodros. Tied 3-3 in the 6th, and you got a legit shot of going to win game 1 on the road, and you go to John Kodros, who has never been in that spot for your team yet this year, where you've been on the road on Thursday night on the SEC network against, Ryan Rollison, and you got a tie ball game, and you need him to go hold down one of the best lineups in the SEC. This is one of the trickle-down effects of bringing Nick Bush out of the bullpen and starting him in Game 3. Is that last night, if you wanted to go lefty, you would have gone Nick Bush. And maybe should have gone Nick Bush, because you legit had a chance to win that ball game last night. And instead they went to Kodros, and he did not record an out. He gave up 3 earned runs on 2 hits, and game was over. And then Beck came in, and Beck couldn't find it. He only recorded 1 out, gave up 4 hits, 5 runs, walked a guy. And the really disappointing thing is, it wasn't that long ago that the bullpen was the strength of your team. It went 26 consecutive innings without allowing a run, and they are just not the strength of your team anymore. So that's insanely disappointing, man, because we talked about it, how, Ole Miss had been 2-4 in game ones in SEC play, and LSU was 4-2, and it felt like, if Hess could go out and give you a good start, that was your shot, your best shot to win a game in this series, and it just fell apart because the bullpen fell apart. So it doesn't get any easier. You get Brady Feigl tonight, and Mikhail Hilliard has to bounce back. He just has to go pitch the game of his life. So we'll see. Before the series started, I said get one. Just go get one in Oxford. Don't get swept on the road again. Just find a way to get one game. And maybe it's tonight with Mikhail Hilliard, but there's nothing on paper that suggests that LSU's better than Ole Miss anywhere. Ole Miss hits it better. They pitch it better. They're at home. LSU's been bad on the road. But baseball's a funny game. And maybe LSU can go find a way to scratch out a win tonight with Hilliard on the mound, give themselves a chance to go into Game 3, maybe to steal a series. But they got to go get one. So LSU, disappointing performance from the Bull, because it was a great game. It was a great game into the 6th until they had to pull Hess. But again, Ole Miss drove up Hess's pitch count and got him out of the game after 5 innings. And that's something that LSU just refuses to do. They just refuse to be patient at the plate and drive up someone's pitch count to chase him early. And it cost them last night. So Game 2 tonight, and rounds 2 and 3 of the draft tonight, so we'll see how it all goes. We will certainly be talking about it tomorrow morning on Morning Scone. We hope you'll join us. Again, hit the red subscribe button if you have not already, and we appreciate you. We'll talk to you next time.